Welcome back. The ANC Mangaung Regional Conference enters its second and final day following delays. Voting is yet to start. A parallel conference has been taking place at another venue in the city, and that is led by disgruntled party members. The ANC in the Free State is also expected to host a provincial conference in the coming days amidst these divisions. Let me take you live now to Mangaung, and I'm joined by eNCA's Moloko Moloto for a conversation. So, Moloko, what we know at this point is that nomination for the top officials of the region, as well as the rest of the REC, Regional Executive Committee, those nominations are being done by delegates from the floor of conference. Why, Moloko, when we've had processes beforehand that involved the branches signaling whom they would like to be led by?
Well, it's really quite puzzling, Chula Sizwa, but before we get into that, let me point out that the other parallel conference that is taking place at the President Hotel, one that is being attended by disgruntled members who failed to stop this particular conference that is taking place at the Imvelo Safari Lodge, has elected its own top 5 leaders. That happened last night. Now, at this particular conference, which has been given the thumbs up by the court to continue, there was a delay in terms of the nomination. Actually, the expectation was that the nomination and the election of the top 5 leaders would happen yesterday already, but it only the nomination, and I must be specific, happened just about 30 minutes ago. And there is a challenge here, Tula Sizwe. When one of the PIC officials, when she was standing up there to introduce the program in terms of how they are going to unfold, before she even called the elections agencies officials to come and outline how the nomination is going to take place, she pointed out that the packages which entails the nomination of candidates during the branch general meetings, which ought to be here in this conference to indicate who met the threshold, those packages are not here, all because they have been locked up somewhere, and the people who are supposed to bring them here now, they have not brought them to this conference. As a result, this particular conference has had to nominate the candidates or the nominees, all the top 5 from the floor. And let me speak to Mr. Sakimo Fokeng. He is in the office of the ANC President, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, and he's been here even during the negotiations yesterday as the conference was trying to resolve some of the disputes and later decided that the conference must continue. Now, Mr. Mofokeng, it is unusual that you will have a Congress sitting, whereas before the Congress itself there had been a nomination process. Branches nominated people they believed ought to be leaders, and those packages are not brought to the Congress. As a result, all the top 5 were nominated from the floor. Am I wrong when I say it's unusual?
Thank you very much, and greetings to your viewers. Let's correct 2 things quickly. The surname is Mukwena. Secondly, I'm speaking here as a member of the interim provincial structure of the ANC in the province. I also happen to be the ANC Elections National Manager. That's why I operate. Look, it is not something that is normally experienced within the processes of running ANC in various provinces, and particularly even here at home in the Free State. Necessarily, this is the conference that is endorsed by the IPC in the Free State. So it is a legitimate conference of the ANC in Mangaung. That is why we are here, several of us from the IPC, and the convener of the IPC was here. Secondly, we do acknowledge that there are those comrades who went to court after having exhausted internal issues in terms of the national dispute resolution And as a law-abiding organization, we had to await the outcome of the court processes, which says that all is in the clear legally in terms of the ANC constitution and processes. And that's why the IPC yesterday gave its final condonation for the conference to proceed. Coming to your question, the region, what they did in terms of preserving the integrity of the process, they deposited the envelopes for the nomination of the region together in the same bigger envelope with the nominations for national. That's how they ended up at the level of the provincial office. Necessarily, the custodian of the regional nominations is the regional interim structure itself. Now, it became an unfortunate incident whereby they ended up being locked together with those of national, and it was a difficulty to secure them in the process. But however, remember that nominations are nominations. The matter was placed before conference after having sought advice from the national leadership in terms of how to manage the matter. And the conference, being the highest decision-making body in the region, took a decision that over and above what will have been nominated, the final arbiter on who becomes the region, the regional leadership, it is a conference itself which is provided for in terms of the constitution and the rules, and the nominations had to be raised from the floor. So that's how the matter was handled.
Considering that members of the ANC in this province are quite litigious, do you not anticipate that those who may be aggrieved would go to court, especially because the people they would have nominated at the branch level would not have had an opportunity to stand for election in this Congress? Are you not worried about such?
All legitimate delegates of the African National Congress, accredited through the processes of verification and so on, are here. And we all know the rules in terms of raising any issue, either within the meeting or outside the meeting, internal or externally. Now, if anybody has got a grievance, they are really free to raise the matter internal within the processes and procedures of the ANC. It's only after that that people are free to approach the courts. Remember that we are a legal entity as an organization, and as a result, we subject ourselves to the normal rules of justice that runs the society in which we operate in. So we are really not worried. We think that we have done things within the book, and will be able to provide an accountability to the leadership. Let me raise this point. The African National Congress is in the process of rebuilding, particularly in the Free State. And we have got to reassert the ANC ways of doing things, not the wishes, either of individuals or of particular groupings, where people believe that they can hold the organization at ransom. We are in a process of freeing the organization, and as we are bringing about the new, that process, we know that it's quite hectic. It is very disruptive. A number of people who will want us to remain in the past will put everything in terms of efforts to try to keep us in the past. But I can assure you, we are surging forward, we are rebuilding the ANC, and we will emerge with a much more strong African National Congress in the province of the Free State.
Let me ask you this final question. The ANC National Executive Committee has deployees that it sends to provinces. In this particular province, Mr. David Mahlobo is the leader of the ANC NEC deployees. And I have not seen any of the NEC deployees in this particular Congress, but also there are other parallel conference. I've not seen anyone from National. And I would assume that you would argue that this particular one is the only legitimate Congress. But is it normal that a Congress of an ANC, particularly at the region, would happen without an NEC deployee being in attendance, as much as I understand that it is the province that oversees it?
Look, the responsibility to build, lead, organize, and prepare for the regional conference is the responsibility of the interim regional committee, supported by the IPC itself. Members of the NEC, their role is to provide support and a political guide to the province. I can assure you, when the IPC took a decision, all of our deployees were in a meeting yesterday from 8 a.m. up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
These are NEC deployees.
NEC deployees. They were there in full attendance, and a decision that the province has taken, they are quite aware about it, and they're part of the processes. They've been together working with us. So there could be a reason, one or the other, as to why they are not here. But the comrades have given us their full blessing in terms of the continuation of the conference. Of course, we would love them to be here, but an organization living at various levels cannot really have a difficulty to continue because one layer or the other of the leadership is not here. So when the provincial executive is here, we are here as the leadership of the Free State.
I presume that those NEC deployees who were in a meeting yesterday endorsed this particular conference. But what was their view about the other one that is taking place, which is being attended by even some of the leaders who are in the interim provincial committee?
Let me say this, I can only speak on behalf of the ANC IPC in the province of which I am a member. The only conference of the ANC in the Free State, it is led by the IRC that was convened by Matale, who is now being elected as a regional chair, unopposed. That is the decision of the IPC as to the conference that is taking place. When people meet and they play into the media and they call themselves a conference and you guys lift it up, it surely cannot be the challenge to the ANC. It is not a conference. The conference of the African National Congress, it is where we are, where I'm speaking as a member of the IPC, and the chair, the convener of the province, Comrade Dukwana, was here. Our IPC decision is quite clear and firm. The conference that is sitting in Mangaung, it is the one organized by the leadership of Comrade Lawrence Matale, not any other thing. And unfortunately, we did see some of these visuals all over the social media, but we really understand that perhaps comrades are exercising their excitement to try to behave as if they are a conference, but I can assure you, they are absolutely not a conference. This is a conference of the ANC in the Free State. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your time. Well, Tula Sizwe, I can tell you that up to now, of the top 5 officials, only one, that of the deputy chairperson, is going to be contested. And when these delegates come back from lunch, they are going to be voting. So it's not going to be a long night for them. The other position, chairperson, secretary, deputy secretary, and treasurer, the nominees, who I must say happen to be the allies of Mr. Mxolisi Dukwana, who is the convener in the province, are not going to be contested. So this already tells you that ahead of the provincial congress that is going to be taking place at the weekend, and the contest is going to be between Mxolisi Dukwana and Thabo Manyoni, unless if the Premier Sisintombela also decides to contest. It already tells you that Mr. Dukwana, perhaps to some extent, is having an upper hand because he will be having the delegates coming from both the branches but also from the REC itself. We know that in Lijweleputswa, in Velkom, another region, it is today sitting there to elect the new leaders. And depending on who is elected, if the people who are elected there happen to be the allies of Manyoni, it will mean that Manyoni will also have the upper hand. But it's going to be very interesting, obviously, even leading up to the national conference in Nasrec.
All right, Moloko, thank you for that. And I think a key takeout is some of the little bit of clarity as to what happened to the keys that we got there from Saki Mokoena, telling us how the envelopes from the branches were deposited together with the nominations for national election and deposited in the provincial office, but the keys are nowhere to be found. Thank you for that update. eNCA's Moloko Moloto reporting on the ANC's regional conference in Mangaung.